Hi, everyone. This is Market Minute with Chris and Trystan, and you're joined here with Trystan King, Realtor at Stonehouse Realty Corp., and Chris Adkins, mortgage broker at TMG, the Mortgage Group. And today's episode, we're talking about how to best prepare yourself for a real estate purchase. Trystan, welcome again. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Chris. How are you?
Good as always, man. So we wanted to talk about the importance of getting prepared before the actual shopping begins. We talked about this offline. The actual shopping part of the process is the most exciting for a lot of people, myself included. I'm sure for you too. But there's been some changes, right? And we'll talk about the first one now. On the mortgage side, income confirmation is required and verified upfront. So when we're talking about income confirmation, we are getting letters of employment, the most recent pay slip, and the last couple of years T4s typically. And if you're self-employed, be prepared for more than just your most recent notice of assessment confirming you're up to date with your taxes, and your most recent T1s, your last 2-year T1 generals. In addition to that, you could be asked further questions about the current status of your self-employment regarding whether or not you have employees, how many employees are currently working and or laid off, and what are the prospects for future employment and continued operation for your business in the wake of COVID-19. So obviously that's important. A lot of people were impacted by COVID-19, and a lot of households have less income that they're working off of. Maybe it's 75%, or maybe it's subsidized by the government, temporarily in an emergency case. But for all lenders now, and for understandable reasons, they're asking for income to be confirmed, and it's required, and to be verified up front. And that extra layer of verification and confirmation is in the case of if you were a regular T4 employee or you work for an employer. In addition to providing a letter of employment, the most recent payslip, and your last couple of T4s, you're also going to have the lender call to verbally confirm employment with whoever wrote that letter as well. So it's an extra layer of verification, but all of that is now required to be provided up front, and for really understandable reasons. For you, I know that realtors, for the most part, have always tried to follow this rule, but it seems more essential now than ever that realtors are really only working with pre-qualified buyers now.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I would always try to work with pre-qualified buyers, but as you were saying, it is a lot more important now. And I think why it's important is it's important because you need to, or we in the industry, we need to respect sellers that are showing their home. With everything going on right now, not all sellers are showing. So the ones that are, we just want to make sure that the buyers viewing those properties are qualified, say financially, so at least they do have the purchasing power to place an offer and complete on the home. So I think, now more than ever, that's definitely the forefront of our business.
Right. Well, it makes perfect sense. And certainly we talked about it offline here, where there's less tire kickers just naturally anyway, but this really kind of filters out people who are just trying to shop around and see what fits, or maybe what they fall in love with, right?
Exactly. I think right now it's actually great for industry because, like you're saying, there are less tire kickers. So people that are out there looking, they are serious, and there are transactions.
Right. There we go. Okay. So the benefits of getting pre-approved. So that's what we touched on already, but something to remind people of, but also inform, especially a first-time home buyer, buyer's agents and mortgage brokers, our services to you, the buyer, to you, the client, they're completely free. Right? Free, right? And I love that. I love the fact that my business is centered on that here. Like, I love the fact that I get to help you as a client, as a buyer, fulfill your dream of home ownership without having any cost to you. Like, I get paid from the bank, you get paid from the selling agent. So I would definitely recommend anybody, whether you're a first-time home buyer or not, to use our services in that respect here. We're a wealth of knowledge in our industries. We're experts in our field. You'd be a fool not to use an expert in the field, especially when the services are free.
Yeah, I think that our jobs and sort of what what makes us almost say do well in our industry is that we provide value to each and every potential or say client that we kind of come across, and that is our job. So you providing value on your end, and my job is to provide value on our end. That's our goal. So definitely use it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, one other benefit other than the fact that our services are free is that when you go through a proper pre-approval, we talked about providing income documents up front. When you're working with myself and my team, we verify all that information up front. We treat your pre-approval as if you are already live. And by live, I mean that we're treating it as if you've already got an accepted offer. You've already done the shopping, you've already got the offer. We're going to treat your mortgage process the same way. And by doing that, we're going to verify your income up front. We're going to confirm the details of your employment. We're going to confirm the details of your down payment. We are going to do a preemptive credit check to make sure all things are checking out and making sure that there are no errors that you're not aware of. So all of those things are uncovered in the pre-approval process. But what we're uncovering from getting all those details confirmed and provided upfront is we're confirming what your top end purchasing power is. So we know what your upper limit is, but also in my pre-approval, I provide to you and your clients and my clients as well is the price points below that top end limit as well. So if client A was qualified for 600,000 on the top end of their buying limit, I'm also going to show them what 550 looks like, what 500 and maybe even 450 looks like numbers wise. So in addition to that, we're protecting a rate for up to 4 months as well. So clients are empowered. They feel protected. They feel empowered with more knowledge. They also understand, because I put a little blurb within my pre-approval letter that depending on how sharp that price point needs to be, whether it's 1,000, 5,000, or even 10,000, I'll give you what that number is as far as the cost per month so that your clients know if you're in a competing situation where you've got multiple offers and competing bids, if you need to sharpen up your own offer a little bit more, you have that knowledge already in your hands, what it would cost you if you increase or improved your offer by $1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 or even 10,000, and that it's not going to break the bank for their cost of borrowing and what it's going to cost them to own that home.
Yeah, no, I love that you do that, because I think with say first-time home buyers, or if you don't buy real estate often, you might think that difference, it actually is a major difference, and more often than not, it's not. And when you are in those multiple offer situations, rather than sort of going back to the drawing board, having sort of full transparency in what you're offering and what that means for you, I think that is really important, because sometimes that extra, couple $1,000, it can be worth it in purchasing the property.
Yeah, totally. Make or break sometime, right?
Exactly.
For you though, when we get you fully pre-approved, we armor your client with that with the knowledge, and you've got the protection of a 4-month rate hold. But more importantly, on your side here, it ensures that we're shopping in the right neighborhoods, right? Because I know part of your kind of pre-approval when it comes to the client is you need to know what they're qualified for on the top end and what their comfort level is, but you also need to ensure that we're shopping in the right neighborhood with the right product at the right price point, are we not?
Yeah. So in purchasing a home, I can't really go to work until I have a solid number to sort of work with. I can educate on different neighborhoods, different types of product, whether it's condo, townhome, single family home, different areas, all that sort of stuff when I have a number. But until I have that number, I'm basically just going in blind, because I have no idea sort of what they can purchase. And say if we're not qualifying these people, we definitely are now, but say if we're not, then showing homes that could be out of the affordability range for a potential for a buyer, it's not the greatest, just because then they are searching. They're searching outside of sort of their pre-approval, right? So then we kind of have to go back, kind of sort of come down to earth on maybe what they can afford up to. And it's like shopping for nice cars and then sort of having to go in and look at something a little bit less, right? It's not fun. It's just nice to go in right at that number.
Well, to summarize on that end here, essentially what we're talking about is managing expectations, right? Yeah. And I think that's important overall, but specifically now, I think it's even more important to manage expectations accordingly as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. One thing that we want to talk about is technology is keeping the process going for buying a home / getting a mortgage. One thing that might not be very clear for a lot of people, first time home buyer, second time home buyer, doesn't matter whether it's your first, fifth, or 10th property you're buying, you might not be aware of what technology has done and how it's been able to buoy our industry and keep it going, and make sure that all the steps in between, from the initial discovery call all the way to funding and completing with a lawyer, they have been accommodated and adjusted, and there's new processes that have been adopted by all different professionals in our industry. From my standpoint here, we've adopted the online mortgage application and documents portal. So from phone call to funding and every step in between could all be done digitally. And we talked about how that application is done in real time, question and answers. And once it's completed, my clients are receiving a invitation to provide their documents directly to a portal that is secure and protected, right? So that's very streamlined, where we can get things done in 30 minutes, instead of over a longer time period here, or when we want to bring that more personal level, jumping on a Zoom call is easy, right? And we can include that, but we can handhold, we can guide, we can do everything here, but we don't actually have to hold hands, like literally anymore. But for you, we talked about virtual home tours and what's included, and what's changed for your process now. Would you want to expand on virtual home tours, on how that impacts your process now?
Yeah, no, 100%. So virtual home tours, on all of our new listings, what we are doing are we're having, say, these virtual home tours, and what you do is you click the link. Rather than sort of a video, it's actually like your live time inside the home. Everything is scaled properly. You kind of click around as if you're walking. You can do like a 360 or a 360 degree sort of view around yourself. And we make sure, so on any of these listings that we have sort of coming up, that before we book a showing, those are, or say the buyer has viewed it at least, right? Because we don't want any surprises when they go and view the home. Another thing too, we're starting to sell this pre-sale development. We're helping market it. It's in Maple Ridge, same sort of thing. And what we're also doing is we're offering absolutely everyone, if say they can't come down to the presentation center, we will do a live FaceTime sort of video walkthrough. And, I would do that on every single one of my listings as well. So
That's cool. Like, tech is leading the way here, keeping the process going, from phone call to funding and every step in between, from virtually going through the home, making sure that your application is done without contact as well. Of course, we can always bring the extra personal touch when we can jump on a Zoom call, but it's reassuring for me that you've stepped up, your industry stepped up, our industry has stepped up, and we're able to implement these technologies pretty seamlessly and adapt to a new normal and really adopt new processes to respect social distancing, keep the process going, and all the while we're always going to be there virtually or otherwise in the near future for our clients. And tech is helping us keep the process going, which is great.
yeah, and I think that this will be a thing in the future a little bit too. I think that a lot of people will sort of remember these times, and I do think, say your industry, my industry, these sorts of things, we will, as realtors and mortgage brokers, almost have to kind of hold a lot of these services that we are offering. I do think it'll be let up, but I do think that we will, or my team will be doing, say, more Zoom meetings and using these virtual tours and all that, just so we are marketing to absolutely everyone out there.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be some sort of hybrid between
Yeah.
what our old kind of processes were and what we've adopted to now. I think it'll be some sort of hybrid, but tech will be an important aspect of the mortgage experience, the home buying experience on the whole. I think tech is going to play an important role going forward as well.
I agree.
Wow. Okay, well, that was great. Awesome insight as usual here, Trystan. Thank you again for joining us here. Next week, we're going to talk about the benefits of being a real estate investor and what's involved.
I'm really excited for this one. It's going to be a good one.
Exactly, man. Well, good to see you as always, buddy. We'll talk again next week.
Sounds good. Talk to you next week.
Cheers.